And here we are with a fully primed Phulgoth the Miser. I managed to get this guy from the box Phulgoth Shutterhood. This is a real good deal. If you manage to find one of these boxes, I suggest you get it. They're currently sold out where I'm living at, so find it on Amazon or whatever, but it's a good deal. And this guy, I'm thinking of going for a black horse rather than a, what is it, brownish horse. But yeah, the only concern I have is how am I gonna deal with this, the Nurgle emblem and the other details. But that's something I can work with. I'll figure it out. It's just that I consider this more of a 4 horsemen of the apocalypse kind of guy. At least that's what I think they hint towards. So that's what we're gonna do. I believe they all rode black horses, but hey, it's all to the interpretation of the artist, right? So let's get started, shall we? At this point, I'd like to bring to the attention the subtitle of this video, and that is how to deal with failure while painting your minis. And I'd like to discuss this while you watch this prep work on the model. And what you'll soon see is that, for the lack of better judgment, I decide to change my mind on the color of the horse. So instead of going for dark, I wanted to try creating a pale looking dead horse, but as a result I did not get the result I wanted as I envisioned it. So what you'll see coming up is 3 different approaches to getting this model right. I would argue maybe 4 even if you look at the first attempt to fix the problem I started. And I begin to suspect that I made a mistake when even my second attempt was just going horribly wrong. That's when I decided to go with my initial plan, going with the dark horse. So what you'll see here is I'm applying Guilliman flesh in the attempt to create a very light colored skin tone for the horse. However, it was still too, well, let's say dark. It looked like a normal horse at the end. So that's when I decided it would be better to apply some layer paints. So I took out the Kislev flesh and the Flayed One Flesh and started to highlight the horse. Here we have the layer paints. And unfortunately, even that didn't really get me the result I really wanted, and started panicking even. So I started adding more and more layer paint. So initially it's just highlighting, as you can see, but as a result it felt more and more like a normal horse rather than a dead horse, so to speak.
At this point I started to panic here, and I applied a wash down Corex White, and even that made the horse not really... it made it look more pale, but it didn't really look good. So we scrapped that plan, apply more white to prep for my second attempt, and that is applying Flayed One Flesh. So here we go, add a bit of non-oil to get the shading areas back in prep for the Flayed One Flesh contrast. And initially I decided to go only on the edges, like keep it a little bit white, but it didn't really look good. So I decided, let's try to just paint all over it. So as you can see, I'm just lightly applying it, creating a bit of a greenish tint on the white, but it didn't really work out. So you see me here just going straight for a full-on green horse, which I quickly decided this is not a good idea at all. So we went back, reset the whole thing. I applied the Corex White, create a whole white horse. I tried not to paint over the deeper edges, and this is where we started to apply the Ratling Grime, which is the final attempt, and I ended up applying 2 layers, as similar as the rot fly of the Lord of Afflictions. In fact, I really liked what result it gave, so I figured I'm gonna do it the same for this horse now. I'm bringing back the details just in prep for later, and that's basically how I solved the issue of, well, I won't call it horribly failing, but failing to come up with a solution for this mess I made earlier. Now I wonder how you guys end up fixing your mistakes. Let me know in the comments. Do you straight up clean the model and start fresh, or are you like me, trying it over and over again, or just drop the project for a while and come back at a later stage? Let me know. In the meantime, I'm here applying all the let's call it wound colors, and in this case I'm trying to get those little edges around these circles ready for the wound colors. After that, after I finish painting all the wounds with the magenta, I started applying the green, prepping the rest of the model with a base coat, as I would normally do, before I start highlighting. So what you see here is the Gutrippa flesh, and initially I went with all Gutrippa flesh, but then I wanted his main robe to be having a little bit of contrast, so later on I decided to apply different colors, which is where we come to the second part of this model, where I again try different things and end up finding a final solution for it. You see me finding other parts of the horse that I forgot to paint, so I just apply in between my work on the cloth. before I get back to doing the job here. Now, I wanted some contrast with the other parts of his cloth. So the horse has I'd say three sections. There's two side cloths and then the cloth that is hanging off his robe. As you can see here, this is a different attempt, but I scratched that idea. It didn't really look part of Nurgle, and that's where I came with the final option, and that's the AK acrylic paint camouflage that gave me that contrasting look that I was looking for. So I ended up with this. With his ropes done, it's time to go back to finishing up the details of this model. So here we are painting all the wood that is attached to the horse with wildwood contrasts. I really like this contrast for wood. It really grabs that the idea of wood. So the indentations are really darker. And then we added dark oath flash for the, let's just call it robes that are hanging all over this model. And this is back into my comfort zone. I'm just finishing up removing all the whites off this model. This is Gutrippa flash on the lower robe again, and then I will follow that up with Ratling Grime later on the top part of his robe, so we can keep that Phulgoth really dark, nice and dark, but still have that detail popping out. It's time for the tail. We're gonna make a blend. So we're gonna start with some plague bear flesh because it has a bit of that brown in it already. But we'll follow it up while the contrast is still wet with some Cygor brown later. And then we end up blending it nicely. So the contrast is still somewhat wet. Apologies for my hand being in the way. We're gonna do the top part with this Cygor brown, and then it will blend down to the green here. So once it's dry, you really see a nice sort of blended look of dirty, decayed hair, so to speak. At least that was what I was going for. Now it's time to finish up the details of all the other parts that I did not glue to the model yet. And that's to fix all that, well, let's call it ropes as well. So that's pretty straightforward. Dark oath flash everywhere before I start applying all the metals of this mod. Now unfortunately I lost quite a bit of data while filming, and I cannot show you everything, but at least what I do have is in fact the metal work, and that's what I'll be showing in this video before I wrap it up. It was at this point that I forgot that he had horns, so that's why I switched quickly to fix that. And after that, went back to working on the armor. Now what you see here is I'm applying a little bit of black, intense black, it's called AK paint again. His sword, I decided for the same color as the paint job of the box. It looks really cool. And then I put a thin layer of this black over his main armor, because I really wanted him to make him look dark. And after that I added some highlighted scratches on his armor with what I believe is the layer paint silver. This is unscripted, sorry. Stormhost silver layer paint by Citadel. And that's how I finished up his armor. Now here first a layer of was it Agrex Earthshade to create that dirty look. And later on I will also be applying some rust everywhere. As you can see here, we started the rust. This is a new paint that I bought to try out. I needed something more watery than the Riza rust. It's quite sticky. And this turned out to do the job. Again, I really liked what they did on the box with the chainmail, so I wanted to copy that. Here we start the highlighting process with the Stormhost Silver. I ended up doing a few passes of it just to get the look right. I wanted to have scratches and dents and that sort of stuff throughout his armor, as well as his weapon, his scythe. Here we go. So we're gonna highlight the scythe now. Scratches. And after that I applied some Riza rust to finish the job. But that was not recorded. I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and if you like my videos, do consider subscribing for more content in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.